this quick video breaking down exactly why most business owners stay stuck with a fledgling baby podcast that barely grows past 1,000 monthly downloads. Now, a part of me says that in a joking way, taking the piss, but the other part of me is very serious. To me personally, if you are a business owner out there right now who has been stuck below 1,000 monthly downloads and you're not getting traction and you're not generating an ROI from your podcast, to me, that's a very sad thing. And it's a very sad thing because oftentimes, which we'll get into in just a moment, most of these business owners and experts are choosing to operate in a way that keeps them stuck, keeps them with a baby podcast that isn't really doing much, that isn't gaining traction, that isn't bringing the opportunities. And if you're like me and it pisses you off the idea of not reaching your full potential, even though you know the potential is there, and you want to understand how to take things to that next level, and you're pissed off at the fact you're not at the next level, I'm about to walk you through exactly why that is, why you'll continue to keep stuck at the current level you're at without breaking through unless you make this singular change. So look, here's the exact reason why most business owners basically stay stuck. This is you right now for most business owners with podcasts. They're investing all of this time, all of this energy, all of this money, years of their life into a podcast. And that's why you being an expert, you're deciding and choosing to invest your time, your money, your resources, your energy, years of your life into a podcast that isn't optimized for growth and conversion. Meaning you don't have a strategy in place, you're not ranking with podcast SEO, and there's no conversion system to turn your listeners into actual clients. That is a major, massive fuck up, pardon my French, for most business owners. Like the idea that you're investing all of this time, all this energy into a podcast where you and I both know you don't actually have a strategy apart from post on social media occasionally, invite a guest on, hope they share it, but you've been following that strategy for maybe years now and your show isn't growing. You don't have the results to show for all of the time you've invested in. And it's because you're investing all of that time into a system that's fundamentally broken. How are you going to grow your podcast? How are you going to make money from your show when you don't have a strategy that's proven to do that? So what's the outcome? Well, you're stuck with flat growth, the show that isn't really growing. You're stuck with no clients, meaning you're not making an ROI. And you're basically just doing the podcast out of pure habit. And at this point is basically a vanity project. Like you've just gotten okay with it just not really growing. And now some people might say, well, no, actually, I do care about it growing. I've tried different things. There's a difference between trying a few things and going all in to fix the actual problem. And I think that's where most people get stuck. They try maybe changing their titles. Maybe they try ChatGPT. Maybe you might try to implement some of the tips that I share in my emails. But ultimately, is that really you going all in? Is that really you doing your all to fix the broken system, which is the current podcast? You have another scenario where a different business owner, and I've seen this play out after interviewing and coaching 400 plus business owners and experts with podcasts, is they start investing the time, the energy, the money, and that's their input. But they do that and invest that time into a podcast that is optimized. They have a growth strategy in place. They have the podcast SEO in place. So they're ranking on page 1 of Apple Podcasts and Spotify, and they're being found by their ideal listeners and dream clients every single day. They have the right episode structure, which we help our clients implement, that turns a new audience into qualified leads and clients. Now, the outcome of this is, of course, they get more revenue, they get more recognition, they actually become authorities in their space. And more importantly, they're landing dream clients and making money from their podcast. Now, this is exactly what happened to one of our clients, Whitney here, where for 2 years, she was the podcaster above, the average podcast, the average business owner, investing years and years and years. I'm going to just draw this out, investing months and months and months and months and months and months, which then became a year, and then months and months and months and months and months and months and months, which was another year, just basically just with a baby podcast that wasn't really growing. Now, I keep saying the baby podcast to hopefully taunt and tease a little bit here, but also to express that you shouldn't be okay just having a podcast that's getting 1,000 monthly downloads. If you genuinely believe that that's the limit, that is the potential, that is what you're capable of, and that is what your time as a business owner should be spent. I just don't buy that. I think it's part laziness and then part just denial, you hoping that somehow magically something's going to change. But if your strategy doesn't change, nothing will change. Now for Whitney, it wasn't until she actually made a shift that her show just exploded, because she had the right systems in place. Look, I'm recording this video on a Friday night whilst I'm in Lisbon. My business partner's next door, probably thinking, why is Anthony getting all riled up? But the truth of the matter is, if you are a business owner right now and you're investing your time, energy into a system that's completely broken, and you and I both know that you're capable of way more, your potential is way more, you should be reaching more listeners. Why aren't you? It's likely because you've just been okay coasting by with a baby podcast. And until you become pissed off and fed up at the fact that you're barely reaching any listeners, you're not getting any engagement, you're having these great conversations, and you've invested years of your life and lots of your money and time into a podcast that's broken, that isn't doing what it's meant to be doing, which is a podcast is meant to be reaching more listeners. If you're not doing that and you're not reaching more listeners and you're not making any money from the podcast, it's basically just this hobby thing that you're doing that isn't reaching its full potential. I'm sharing these videos because after interviewing and coaching 400 plus podcasts, it's very clear the difference between those who succeed and those who fail. And there's this thing up here 9 times out of 10 that slows you down is your mindset. Now, if you're thinking about what things should you do, start by taking action on the stuff that I'm sharing through my emails and in these videos. But more importantly, start taking yourself more seriously and expect more from your podcast. Don't just be okay with this amazing opportunity you have, which is why you started the podcast in the first place. And then because your lack of effort, letting it die, becoming like a fart in the wind that no one really cares about, no one really knows, is not really doing what you wanted to do, but you're keeping up anyway. Like, what good is that when you could be getting 5,000, 10,000, 20,000 monthly downloads, but more importantly, actually making money from the time you invest into the show? So this is my encouragement on a Friday night in Lisbon, likely your morning or afternoon, just giving you a kick up the ass, whether you ask for it or not. Know that if you continue investing more time, energy into the podcast that's broken without a strategy to grow and monetize, don't expect anything to change. Don't delude yourself into believing that, because it's just not true. And until you accept that and then make an internal decision that you're no longer willing to continue allowing the podcast to stay a baby, and you now want to grow the podcast up and you want to grow up in terms of how you're approaching the podcast, then you can start making those changes, implementing and getting those results. And that's what I want for you, to reach the full potential of your show.